Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Today's gospel reminds me of an experience several years ago when I was teaching a new entrance class, little 5-year-olds. We had been praying for a particular intention, too long a story to relate here. But it happened that our prayers were answered right on the amen of our very solemnly said Hail Mary. And the excitement and the joy of the children was palpable. They were just so full of joy. Go out and tell everybody, I told them. And so they bounded out to all the other classrooms and areas of the school, sharing their wonderful news, totally empowered and believing without doubt that their prayer had been heard by God. Let's listen to how Jesus empowers a group of diverse disciples, telling them to go out among their people and share the wonderful news of the kingdom. A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus called his 12 disciples together and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and heal every disease and every sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, called Peter, and his brother Andrew. James and his brother John, the sons of Zebedee. Philip and Bartholomew. Thomas and Matthew the tax collector. James, son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus. Simon the patriot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus. The 12 were sent out by Jesus with the following instructions. Do not go to any Gentile territory or any Samaritan town. Instead, you are to go to the lost sheep of the people of Israel. Go and preach, the kingdom of heaven is near. The Gospel of the Lord. It's interesting that before Matthew refers to the 12 as apostles, he first and foremost calls them disciples. And we too, like Peter, Andrew, James, and John, and the others, we are disciples. Jesus calls us by our names and by our baptism to share in his mission and to proclaim to those around us that the kingdom is near, that God is near. In other words, we're called to be apostolic. But what does that really mean? Well, for most of us, it simply means that in our day-to-day lives, we're invited to be people of faith, to be people of hope, the people who are Christ in our New Zealand context, in our team of 5 million. Jesus instructed the 12 to go to the lost sheep of the people of Israel. So we need to think then, who are the lost sheep in Aotearoa? Well, they're in our families, in our parishes, in our schools, as well as in our streets, in our suburbs. We walk past them in the supermarket. We sit beside them in the doctor's waiting room. They're people who are vulnerable, perhaps because of poverty or marginalization, sickness or loneliness, rejection felt for whatever reason, and so on. Perhaps in these days of uncertainty, when a global pandemic is raging, these are the people who can only see the negative outlook. They're filled with dread, perhaps. But we, the disciples of Jesus, Margaret, Michael, Moana, Hemi, Ioane, Louisa, Turila, Craig, Josefa, What's your name? We are called to be like Peter, James, and the others, and to be like the children of my Year 1 class and burst into the pain of our brothers and sisters with a joy and a message of hope. We can do this by living good Christian lives and also by getting involved in outreach. Perhaps you can do that through your parish. In Evangelii Gaudium, Pope Francis challenges us to hear the call to do just that, saying he prefers a church that is bruised, hurting, and dirty because it's been out in the streets, rather than a church which is unhealthy from being confined and from clinging to its own security. So today and tomorrow and maybe the next day, I encourage you to listen for that call, the call to go out and be Christ to God's people, in the same way as the apostles were sent out. Kia ora.